So for this week's PTSD Art Therapy session, we're going to be creating the paper mache armature. Now it is a part 2 because we're just going to actually do the wire portion and add some paper mache, and then next week we're going to add the paper mache pulp. And we're going to be discussing general anxiety disorder cures. So if you want to see how to create the paper mache armature and hear what I have to say about generalization anxiety cures, keep on watching. For this week's tutorial, we're going to be making the paper mache armature. Now it's called paper mache armature because the plan is to actually cover this with paper mache around the wire part, and then next week we're going to completely put the paper mache on it. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to show you how to create a paper mache plaster recipe first, and then we'll finish the paper mache sculpting idea, but this is what it looks like. One thing you have to remember is when you're creating your armature, make sure you remember that you're going to actually be putting paper mache or even clay, what's your choice, over top of it. So you don't want it extremely big and then put paper mache so it's bigger. So make it a little bit smaller and then build it up with your paper mache. I wanted to have a sitting pregnant lady. So what is generalized anxiety disorder? So there are two. Generally, we all have anxieties, and actually I heard someone say something great, that back when the world started, we needed anxiety because what it did was helped us with our flight and fight mode. And so now within our society now, it's reduced, we don't need it anymore. However, because things are so heightened, it's coming back and it's not necessarily working for our advantage. So generalized anxiety disorder, which for short is called GAD, G-A-D, is an excessive anxiety or worry that are occurring more days than not within a 6-month period. Generalized anxiety is like a hyper anxiety, and it's persistent, like you're constantly on edge. It's always going, the person can't turn it off, and that's a good description of generalized anxiety. If a person is finding it difficult to control their worry, and these 6 symptoms are occurring, but at least 3 out of the 6. Restlessness, feeling on edge or irritable, being easily fatigued, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, difficulty concentrating, muscle tension, headaches, muscle aches, stomach aches, or unexplained pain, difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep, or restlessness and unsatisfied with your sleep. So the symptoms that you're having cannot be related to another disorder. So it can't be that you're worried like you're having a panic attack, because panic attack is a disorder on its own. So once you deal with trauma, generalized anxiety disorder is something that can creep up on you. Generally, it's about ages from 30 and up. And don't forget, children can also get generalized anxiety disorder. So one of the things that you want to do is make sure that if your child is being diagnosed, remember, it's not the same thing like 3 out of the 6. It's one thing on that list that your child has, then they have generalized anxiety disorder. To be one of the first to watch my videos, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and hit that bell to be notified when I upload my post every Tuesday. The cures. Progressive relaxation. Now in this kind of technique, what they're doing is focusing on slowly tensing and then relaxing each of your muscle groups. This can help you focus on the difference between muscle tension and relaxation. Breathing techniques. but you have to breathe the right way. So if you have a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, or even just going on Pilates, they have a lot of breathing exercises on TV where you're breathing correctly, going all the way in, inhaling right down to your stomach and exhaling out so that you're breathing out that wind. Those exercises are really good. Listening to music. Listening to music is really good. It does release a lot of stress and anxieties, so try and incorporate that into your day. Going for walks. Walks are extremely important just for everyday life. If you can't walk for half an hour, do a 5-minute walk, 5-minute walk back, and then slowly increase the time. Restful sleep, but restful sleep can be attributed to having a good nighttime and morning routine. So incorporate a routine prior to trying to just fall asleep and not being able to stay. So if you've had issues with falling asleep, don't just try and go to sleep. Try and incorporate a bedtime routine. And one of the things that I like to do now, I started doing that, was doing a countdown in my mind, doing the Jose Sullivan technique before I go to bed, and then also just listening to relaxing countdowns and participating in the countdown, and I find that that helps me sleep. Now, if you're a light sleeper like myself and you wake up because of noise, you continue doing that habit, and then also say to yourself that you're going to have a good night's sleep. You're going to go to bed at, let's say, 10 o'clock, and I'm going to wake up at 5, and I'm going to sleep right through, and just keep training your mind. Eating healthy, walking, having a restful sleep, all of those go together. Once you start eating healthy, which is more vegetables, and raw vegetables are really good, but eating healthy, less sweets. I love sweets. It's very hard for me. But once you start eating healthy, you'll notice that your sleeping pattern will actually change. And once you start exercising, you'll also notice that your sleeping pattern changes. Avoid caffeine, alcohol. Those are things that you don't want, because sometimes those things will trigger heart palpitations. And then knowing how much caffeine you're having, when you're having it, very important. There's a lot of substitutes if you need that little boost. Now, one thing that I noticed is that they did not mention anywhere about religion. For myself, I find that doing my Bible study, having a nice praise and worship session, talking with God, is very relaxing and calming, and it actually grounds you and centers you on your purpose. So if you are religious, make sure that you've incorporated your time with God, your praise and worship with God, even your Bible study. Make sure that you incorporate that in your set schedule. I didn't mention medication. There are medications to help you the generalized anxiety disorder. I'm not one for medications. I would try every other option before I go on a medication. If you wanted to take me on any of your DIY projects, I do have my Instagram page here, and I also have a Facebook page that you are able to upload different DIY projects. You can check out the link in the description box. Now that you know how to make the paper mache armature, and we've discussed the generalized anxiety disorder cure, you can check out this tutorial next on the angry iceberg activity. If you like this week's tutorial, hit that like button, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and share the content with your family and friends. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Take care.